I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby, and today I'm speaking with Padma Lakshmi, the executive producer and host of Taste the Nation with Padma Lakshmi. First question I wanted to ask you is, you've tasted so many dishes as part of this, which makes me insanely jealous of you, first of all. What dish from the most recent season surprised you the most upon tasting it? Like what completely blew away your expectations?
Well, there were so many dishes. On Taste the Nation, the best thing about my job is that I get to taste things that I would never otherwise taste on my own. And the Cambodian episode for me was an eye-opener because I love Thai food and I've had Laotian food, but I've never had Cambodian food. And it is similar, it has a lot of similar ingredients to those other cuisines, but it's not spicy like Thai food is. It doesn't have that many chilies in it. But more importantly, I went to school near Lowell, Massachusetts in Worcester, and I did not know that there was this community of refugees and asylum seekers that then revitalized this whole town, this tawny New England town, which had fallen on some hard times. And so that was the real takeaway. And, also that's what I love about the show. We just use food as a metaphor or food as a Trojan horse to talk about a lot of political issues and a lot of, different parts of America that we don't know about unless we find out about them through living close to that community or some other method.
Have you always been adventurous with food?
Yes, I think so. I have been adventurous with food. When I was 4 years old, I used to eat things that you would never give a child, like very spicy pickles and things like that.
So you were going into the second season of this show. What did you hope would be the biggest change from the first season of the show?
I think what I hoped would happen did happen. In the first season, we didn't have a proof of concept to show our participants. And Taste the Nation is built from our participants, all these immigrants and indigenous people who shared their lives with us and did so willingly and opened their homes and told us all about their origin stories. And in many cases, it's very painful. But in the second season, we had the first season to show our participants, so it was easier and I think just a lighter lift to get people to open up. And, I'm not a journalist. And so this is a new realm for me. I mean, before Taste the Nation, I could count on one hand the amount of times I'd interview people, and it was never, it was always for a literary festival or a food festival. So I'm very blessed that I get to do this whole new phase of my career with Taste the Nation. And, one of the reasons that I started thinking about Taste the Nation is because of during the 2016 election, I started working with the ACLU on immigrant rights. And because of the work there and a lawyer named Lou Gallant, who really schooled me on what's going on, I wanted to have my next professional project use some of the things I have learned through my advocacy. And so that's how Taste the Nation is born. It's a direct result of that, because usually we don't see stories like this being told about different kinds of Americans. And, I'm very proud of the stories that we've been able to tell, both in season 1 and in season 2, whether it's about the Gullah Geechee community or the Cambodian community, and also give Americans a real history lesson in a 30-minute episode, but also hopefully make it entertaining and fun and be escapist and take you to parts of the country that you've never seen and get you curious about not only trying the foods from those communities, but meeting the people from those communities. It was sort of a positive way for me to answer all of the vitriol and negativity about immigrants that started really gearing up during the 2016 election. And Taste the Nation isn't really designed for people who think like me. It's designed for people who live in red states and are afraid of immigration and are afraid, of many of the things that you were talking to Nicole about as well. But I too think that, if we don't look at our history, if we don't look at the ways that American foreign policy, for example, has affected many of these communities and are the reason why they show up at our shores, we can't really learn from those mistakes. We can't really move forward as a society together. And so Taste the Nation allows me a voice to tell all of those stories and also give a lot of Black and Brown people the A-list high caliber treatment that we don't often see in the media. I'm sorry, as somebody who grew up as an immigrant, I basically saw one type of person on TV for a very, very long time.
I love the communities that you go into, not just the ethnic communities, but also telling their story within a specific setting, like a specific city. Like here, like I'm outside of DC, and you covered the Afghani community in DC, which I can't believe I wasn't as familiar with. But then again, we have so many in this area. What made you choose the specific communities that you covered in each episode?
Sure, that's a great question. Thank you. Basically, we have this big giant subject, which is immigration, and which is so germane to the forming of our modern republic, as well as the continual evolution of American culture as a dominant force in the world. And so with each episode, we're not just going to, community A in a city and learning about their food and then rinse and repeat. I want to look at a specific aspect of this whole immigration puzzle by using a community. So what do I mean by that? In our Puerto Rican episode, we talk about sovereignty and food sovereignty. And in my opinion, Taste the Nation is also, it's an editorial show. It's one person's opinion, mine, along with, of course, my co-creator and producer. But, in my opinion, Puerto Rico is the last colony of America. And that has not always served the people of Puerto Rico very well. And so we had to go research the Jones Act, which is the shipping law from 100 years ago, and why that affects them and why that's changed their agricultural landscape in such a detrimental way. And so we're looking at, that idea of sovereignty, just like in the first season, we look at food sovereignty by going and visiting Navajo people in Arizona at this San Carlos reservation. In the Nigerian episode that takes place in Houston, I was really interested in looking at having a discussion through an immigrant lens about Blackness in America. And obviously I was super nervous about that episode since I'm not African American, but I grew up around many people who I saw suffered unjustly, and I wanted to tell that story through that lens. And so, Yvonne Orji, who is a guest, helped me with that. And I didn't want to shy away from that subject, but I also wanted to, of course, with every community, but especially this subject, take as much care as I could. And I'm very proud of our Nigerian American episode, and what I really want to do is talk about different issues that are tentacles from this larger issue. So, the show allows me also to exercise all of my nerdy interests, be they history or food or culture.
Well, Padma, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our panel in just a little bit.
Thank you.